In this video, you will be building an alarm clock or a timer in Python. The timer that we'll build today will be based only on minutes and seconds. So sit back and enjoy, because at the end of this video, you'll be able to build a timer just like this one. It will appear like a timer, and when the timer ends, it will make this sound. So, make sure to stick with me to know how you can build this timer. First of all, I want you to open command prompt, because from command prompt I want to download a module called Playsound. Playsound will be the module that will allow us to input sound in our Python project, so our timer will appear like this one. Did you hear the sound when the alarm finished? So that's what we'll be doing with this module. So to install this module, all you need to do is say pip install Playsound. Now I already have it, but when you download this or when you type this command, it will start downloading. But if it didn't work, I want you to first install wheel. I found this solution on Stack Overflow, so it worked for me. I downloaded wheel, and then after wheel, well, I already have it. After wheel, I will download Playsound. So I'll say pip install after wheel Playsound, and I will press enter, and it will be downloaded. So that worked for me. So make sure to try it. First download wheel by saying pip install wheel, then download Playsound by saying pip install Playsound. First, I'm going to import some libraries. I'm going to say from time import sleep. The sleep function is a function that allows you to delay the execution of your code. So it works like this. You say sleep, and inside parentheses you just mention the seconds. So sleep 1 means sleep for 1 second. Okay, so stop the execution for 1 second and then continue. This is sleep. Now I already have Playsound installed, so I'm going to say from Playsound import asterisk sign. Well, there's only one function inside the Playsound module, which is the Playsound function. I'm gonna write it in front of you, okay, and we'll see how to use it. Other than that, let's start by defining our timer function that will accept, well, I'm gonna say input minutes, that accepts minutes as the first parameter, input seconds as seconds for the second parameter. Now before we start elaborating our timer function, I want to add some conditions, because maybe the user inputted a minute that is greater than or equal to 60. We know that in time the numbers can be between 51 and 0. So if user input minutes that is greater than or equal to 60, I want to be able to handle this. Or even if minutes is okay, if I inputted maybe 15 minutes, but let's say 70 seconds, I want to be able to tell the user, well, this is wrong, because seconds is greater than or equal to 60. But there's another case. Maybe input minutes and seconds are greater than or equal to 60. I want to be able to handle this. I'm going to say or input minutes is greater than or equal to 60 and input, well, seconds is greater than or equal to 60. But there's also another problem. Maybe the user inputted a negative number. I could say or input minutes is less than 0. Or maybe input seconds this time is less than 0. So maybe I inputted 15 minutes but minus 1 seconds. I should be able to handle this. But maybe I inputted minus 1 as minutes and minus 1 as seconds. That might be possible. So I will say or input minutes less than 0 and input seconds is also less than 0. I want to be able to handle this. I'm gonna give for the user a simple message. So the numbers that the user will input should be less than 60, and they should not be negative numbers. Now, if the if statement evaluated false, we'll jump to the else statement and execute the following block, which will be executing the timer. Okay, so to start, I'm gonna mention a minutes variable, and I'm gonna store the input minutes argument or the value of this parameter inside a minutes variable. And I'm gonna do this for these seconds. So I'm gonna say seconds input equal to input seconds. I'm storing the value of input seconds inside a variable called seconds. And now I'm gonna print a simple print statement using an f string. I'm gonna say timer set for, and inside curly brackets I'm gonna mention the variable. So the variable in my case is minutes, and I'm gonna say, so the timer is set for minutes, and let's say seconds. Now I'm going to say sleep for 1 second, and we will see why when I execute the following program. But let's continue with the timer. So now I want to start by decrementing my minutes and my seconds variable so we can obtain a timer. Basically, a timer is each time decrementing. So I'm gonna say while, as long as the minutes variable is greater than and also equal to 0, I want to be able to execute the following code. Now I'm gonna say print at string. I want to print the timer in front of the user. I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna sleep for 1 second. Now in a timer, when you start a timer, the seconds section, okay, is the first section that will be started, that will start decrementing. And when the seconds section arrives to 0, the minutes section will decrement by 1 and eventually continue the timer until 0 minutes and 0 seconds will be evaluated, right? What I'm gonna say here is, I'm gonna establish another while loop that will say while seconds greater than 0. While seconds is greater than 0, I want to execute the following program or block. I'm gonna say seconds minus equal to 1. I'm gonna decrement each time my seconds variable, and I'm gonna copy this print statement. So I'm gonna print this print statement, and I'm gonna sleep for 1 second. So let me explain. If I input 0 minutes and 15 seconds, this while loop will evaluate true. I will print this, so 0 minutes, 15 seconds, sleep for 1 second. While seconds is greater than 0, well, I have 15 seconds, so 15 is greater than 0. So the block of code will be executed. Seconds minus equal to 1, seconds will be equal to 14. So 0, 14 seconds, sleep for 1 second. Then the following code will continue until we get 0. So when 0 will be evaluated, so 0 seconds greater than 0, well, no, so the while loop will terminate. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna decrement the minutes variable by 1 and reset my seconds variable to 59. Why? Because time doesn't start with 60, it starts with 59. That's why we say 59, okay? But there's a problem. I need to check if minutes variable is not less than 0. Because if minutes variable is less than 0, that means there's no more minutes to burn, right? So I'm gonna say if minutes is less than 0, that means the timer finished. So I'm gonna say done. And I'm gonna say break. I'm gonna break out of the while loop. First, I'm gonna launch the program right here. I'm gonna create a variable called minutes equal to integer input. I'm gonna allow the user to input the minutes. Okay, and then now seconds. Now once that is done, I'm gonna say timer. I'm gonna call the function, and the first parameter will be minutes, second parameter will be seconds. And let us try and see if this timer project will work. Let's see. I'm gonna input, let's say 0 minutes and 5 seconds. Timer set so for 0 minutes 5 seconds, and it works. Okay, let's see what happens when done. Okay, 0, done. Now there's a problem. Our timer that we've built right now doesn't look like a real timer, or it doesn't look like the example that I'm going to show you right now. How can we make it look like it? Okay, first of all, we need to fix these formatting of these numbers. We need to add 2 digits for minutes and 2 digits for seconds. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to go to this print statement. I'm going to say colon 0 to D. I'll explain that later, and 0 to D right here. I'm going to say same for this one. And let me add this. Okay, let me launch my code to see what happened. Okay, let me just input 0 and 5. Timer set for 0 minutes 5 seconds. Okay, look at this. The formatting changed, and let me explain what that's supposed to mean. 0 to D means add 2 digits. Okay, if the number is only 1 digit, add a second digit to make this whole number 2 digit. Now the problem is when we execute our timer, it doesn't appear on the same line. Each time it goes to a new line and prints a new value. What can we use here is we can use the end keyword. I'm gonna explain that later. And inside the end keyword, I'm gonna add a carriage return. Okay, so I added for those 2 print statements. Let me launch my Python code. I got an error. Let me delete this and relaunch it. Okay, let's see. So okay, 0, 5. Let's see. Okay, it's working. Yep, it's working. Why exactly it is working? Well, let me explain. So basically, When you say end, when you use the end keyword, so let me just show you real quick. When you say print and you say blah 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 inside, okay, and you say end to equal to an empty string, that means you're telling Python to not go to a new line, okay? But when you say carriage return means simply like, for example, in a Word document, when you press enter, it will go to a new line and it will start on the beginning of the page, right? Same for the carriage return. It tells Python to start the execution on the beginning of the page. Okay, here is the console, so it starts in the beginning of the console. Now combining, let me delete this, combining end and carriage return will give you the effect that the code or the program when it's being executed on the same line and it's being overwritten by the new output because we added the carriage return, which means start on the beginning of the console or the beginning of the page. I really hope that makes sense. Let us actually relaunch the code to see what exactly is happening. So let's see, and okay, so let's see, this is it, this is the code, it's working properly. Okay, yes it is. Now the code is working actually properly, but let's make use of this Playsound module. Now when the timer finishes, I want to be able to hear a sound that as a beeping sound, for example. So I have this simple alarmclock.mp3 file. I downloaded it using Pixabay, it's a non-copyright sound effect. Now I'm gonna go down here, so when the timer is done, completely done, I'll be using the Playsound function, and inside the parentheses I will be mentioning the name of the file, of course between brackets, between quotation, and make sure to mention the mp3 or the extension of this file. Now if you have this file inside a folder, make sure to mention the folder name, so folder, and then after the backslash make sure to mention the file name. Let's see what will happen this time. If I execute my code, I'll just simply say 0 minutes and let's say 3 seconds, okay? Let's see, will it work or not? So if you liked today's video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more tech related content and programming. And I invite you to click on any of these end screens that will appear right now, and I hope to see you in one of these videos.